Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Thank you so much for staying with us. Get down with us. 804-447-0601. 804-447-0601. Before we move on, I want to give a big time shout out to your man Ty Cool in the Throwback Lounge. Ty Cool and the Throwback Lounge. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Is a fan of the show. You can find Ty Cool in the Throwback Lounge on Saturday afternoons from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. here on the same airwaves, globalscareradio.net. Ty Cool in the Throwback Lounge. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is about to move on to the National Football League and the roundup that we like to do. Dun, 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 dun. Big Rule, you are a fan of the Washington Redskins, are you not?
I am.
All right, well, let's hear about it, man. What'd you see yesterday?
We lost. But I saw positive, I saw negative. I've seen the same negative 3 weeks in a row. Apparently, our much vaunted defense can't stop nobody. Now, I can sit here and go to, well, Carrick is hurt and Arakpo's hurt and Mayweather's hurt. But let's just be real. When Arakpo and Mayweather all went in, we were still giving up 30 points. So, yeah, we got an issue with that defense. Yesterday, I saw a team who reminded me a lot of last year. First of all, I like to go on as record saying Kyle Shanahan needs to shut the hell up.
Why, Ruben?
And I'm gonna get into that in a second. But the first half, I mean, we did the exact opposite things we did in the first two games. RG3 stayed in the pocket too long. You can't blame the offensive line to give him 5 seconds if you tell him to stay in pocket. Really, the pocket was collapsing, in 5 seconds. He's got to get on his feet and run. And when he did that, when he started playing his game, we started scoring. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Kyle Shanahan, number one, because he's a horrible offensive coordinator, and we need to fire him. Number two, it was funny, as Banks was talking to me earlier, hey, Big Rube, how we get to third and or first 45. And 45? Well, it's like this. We were on the 30. Then RG3 ran out the backfield. Blase, he got sacked around the 50. Cool. Next thing you know, we get a penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct.
Why?
And they didn't say who was on. It was on Kyle Shanahan. Apparently, he called the ref another word for cat. Now, I'm sorry, 50 yards, RG3 still the man. 75 yards, 65 yards. He's got a hand cannon, but let's just be honest, the percentages drop the further you go back. I would have been cool with 50 because we probably could have set up a really good play and actually did something. But no, we scored 31 points, and in the NFL, if you score 31 points, you should win.
Right.
However, last week we scored 28. Still, 28 points, you should win. Lost by 3. This week, lost by 7. The first week, won by 8. Now, we can sit here and gunsling all day, but how about we play some defense? And, to make it better, Jim Hazard just got a contract extension. All right, Jim Hazard, how about you get something going on? Am I disappointed, Redskins? Yes. I'm not disappointed in the offense, except when Kyle Shanahan decides he wants to do something different. Because last year, he forced, what's his face? I can't remember the name. Super interception thrower to just continually.
Cutler?
No. We don't have Cutler. I don't even know his name anymore. But, he decided to throw through like 5 million interceptions, knowing full well we should be running the ball like we were doing very well. We were 3-1 and we were running the ball. So he forced him to throw. Kyle Shanahan's terrible. Go back to Houston or go. Funny thing about
Jets.
Go to the Jets, but you know what?
That's where he was last year. He was the Jets.
No, last year he was a Redskin. He came from Houston.
Kyle Shanahan
came from Houston.
He was the
offensive coordinator for
Houston. For the Jets.
No, he was not. A couple years ago before Houston, he was the one who put the offense in Houston.
I'm telling you, he was the offensive coordinator with the Jets, man. Last year.
Last year he wasn't. He was offensive coordinator for Redskins.
All right. Carl Banks, pull that
I
up.
agree with Ruben on the Redskins.
Let's look it up.
Look it up. He was there. He's been there except for the first year his daddy was there. And the first year his daddy was there, he wasn't there. And he was the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans.
Well, let's move on to Happier Pastures.
That's not Happier Pastures.
Happier Pastures is the other 1 o'clock game that took place in the NFC East Division race, where the Dallas Cowboys took care of business and came away with the victory. All right? That's all I got to say. We came in. They came in. We took our home opener. Was that your home opener that y'all lost?
Unfortunately.
Okay, yeah. And as I was saying, we took our home opener and we took that to a victory standpoint. You got to love it when you win at home, the opening game of the season.
Oh,
unlike the New York Giants, which we ruined that for them at that time. So, hey, that's my
Seriously?
little... Huh? What?
Seriously,
Yeah, I had to.
Can we talk about week 3?
Week 3 is awesome. But did you see the referees? The referees are going to get somebody hurt badly. Okay.
Hey, go back to the Redskins in St. Louis. Yeah, we know about that.
Okay, no. Did you see the play where the referee decides to throw his hat in the middle of the field because he says Kevin Ogletree went out of bounds? Now, I've watched the replay. I've yet to see Ogletree go out of bounds anywhere in the play. So the ref throws the hat in the middle of the end zone. Ogletree goes to make a cut. What happens? He steps on the referee's hat. The rule of thumb is this: when you're throwing a flag, you throw the flag or the hat where the transaction took place. Where the ref threw the play, Ogletree was 10, 15 yards away.
Then
Are you kidding me?
Why did Ogletree run on the hat?
I just looked up Kyle Shanahan. I stand corrected. Big Rube was right. He was with the Houston Texans for the last couple of years. Prior to that, he was with Tampa Bay, and before that, he was in UCLA. Continue.
Yeah. So, the referees are scared. The referees are punked. First of all, bring back my man, Ed Hockley, all right? Because if Bill Belichick grabbed him, Bill Belichick might have get punched, all right?
Bill Belichick wouldn't have grabbed him.
Let's talk about the X's and O's. What happened? What'd you see on the field?
What I saw on the field is this. Dallas right now cannot run the ball. Unless there's a broken play, Dallas cannot run the ball, which is killing me.
But y'all scored y'all touchdown with DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, it was a stretch play that got a good downfield block from Miles Austin. Okay? Right now, Jason Witten is hurting us in the pass game. He's dropping anything and everything. He can't catch a cold right now.
You know what's funny about that? He talked a lot about the refocus that he and the rest of his receivers had coming into this game. He didn't want to talk to the media. He just wanted to kind of beat it himself, get focused.
Right.
And the first time that Tony Romo threw a pass to him across the middle, he drops the pass. Now, Tony had a decent day. Didn't have any touchdowns, but he still threw 25 for 39 at 283, Carlton Banks. What did you see? Because you had no running game.
Right.
You had no running game. Miles Austin was your leading receiver with 107. You won 16-10. Are you feeling confident? Obviously you won the game, and I'm not going there. I'm not going with the fan thing. I'm just going with an analyst of football. When you come away from this game and you look at the Cowboys' performance, are you really feeling that good about the Dallas Cowboys?
Not right now. I felt better week 1. Not to be a homer, I really do feel better week 1 when we did beat up on the Giants. I felt the defense was more concise in their movement. They had more heart. I also see that our offensive line gelled better, especially after we gave up the second sack. The line worked better together. I don't know if the Cowboys saw that or not, but I, as a fan, did. The wide receivers were stepping up. Everybody stepped up. Kevin Ogletree looked like an all-pro wide receiver in that one game. After that, everybody's dropped off. They're starting to play back to what I call Pop Warner type football, where you're there, you're going to try to win the game, but you don't actually win the game. It's really disheartening as a fan. I love my Cowboys. I need to see them do better. We got Chicago, I think, coming up Monday night. Should be another victory. In truth of the matter, we let Seattle beat us, but right now, I can't even say that should have been a victory for us, considering Seattle is undefeated. Right. They're 2-0 in the West.
Yeah. They get and depending on how they perform tonight against Green Bay, they could actually be one of the few 3-0 teams. And if you look around the National Football League, Big Rule, before we get to the New York Giants victory over the Panthers on Thursday night, I want to ask you a question about parity. when you look around the National Football League and you see a lot of teams that are 3-0. Well, actually, you don't see a lot of teams at 3. You see a couple 3-0s, but most of the teams are either 2-1 and 1-2. You don't have a lot of 0-2s or 0-3s right now.
They're only 2 0-3s.
Right. So if you look around, you had a lot of people who were talking about the 49ers, and we'll get to them in a minute. But you had a lot of people looking at certain teams and thinking that their team is the class of the league. But I don't know that you could say that now because of, look who they lost to. They lost to the Vikings yesterday, the 49ers.
Bad.
Not only did they lose, they got their ass beat.
Yeah, they got that.
So when you look around the league, and like I said, we'll get to the Giants in a minute, but do you see a team who is the class of the league right now, or do you see a lot of good teams and no great teams?
As far as great teams, the one team I will say that is clear and concise on that upper echelon is Houston, because Houston did a defensively last night, because we watched that game. Defensively, they kind of gave Peyton Manning a lot of problems. Offensively, you can't stop the run. And then Schaub just does what he wants back there. The dude got hit several times illegally, but he still came out and just still threw deep bombs. And, Kevin Walter, man, really?
Well, since we're gonna talk about Schaub, and let's talk about the Texans and the Broncos game. We'll come back to the Giants in a minute since you brought it up. Kevin Kolb took one of the most brutal hits.
Matt
Schaub. I'm sorry, Matt Schaub. I said Kevin Schaub. Matt Schaub took one of the most brutal hits, Big Rube, that you will see in a long time. And as we were watching that game, you and I together, the first thing we thought of, what the hell?
And
the flag took
we
a
watched
minute.
that too.
The flag took a minute before it came out.
Yeah.
And then it finally came out. They hit the guy hard, and we're talking about replacement reps, and there's a lot of, I don't want to get too off of the subject.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different areas that we can go, but the first thing I want to ask you about is that game. Then we'll talk about the officials. Then we'll get to the Giants. First thing, what the hell is going on with Peyton Manning? He looked great in the first game. Now the Broncos are 1-2. They didn't look great. They scored 14 to try to close it in on the Texans yesterday, who are now 3-0. What's going on with Peyton and the Broncos?
They suffer from the same things that Redskins suffer for: bad defense.
Really?
Yeah. See, here's the thing with Denver, they have good pass rushers and Von Miller, and the pass rushing is on point. Their corners can't, other than even Bailey was getting destroyed yesterday. Other than Champ Bailey, you can't name another DB in their backfield. And then Champ Bailey doesn't.
Porter.
Who?
Porter.
Porter who?
Porter's the other corner.
What's his first name?
He played with
You get that first name, come back to me. But that's what I'm talking about, Banks. You go 4 wide, Bailey's by himself. And there was one pass that, who was it? Who caught that? Andre Johnson. Nearly caught a one-handed pass on him, and the only reason they catch it because Bailey's leg swung on the back and knocked it out of his hand. Which is insane. So my thing is, right now, defense is a problem in the NFL. You either can really stop people or you can really score. Most teams can't do both, and right now that's sad. But the only team can do both are the Houston Texans. And you give up 20-some points to Peyton Manning, but you give up 24 points and you beat Peyton Manning. That's good defensive work, in my opinion. I can't speak for anybody else. Well, in my opinion, that's good stuff.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I want to say peace to my listeners down in Newport News, Virginia, in the Hampton Roads area. We appreciate 757. We got some listeners that just hit me up. I appreciate it. Want to show some love to everybody that's listening to us. Hit us up on the Facebook page, on the fan page. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I see you. I got your notes. I appreciate the love. Let's go ahead and talk about the New York Football Giants. They played a game on Thursday night against the Carolina Panthers. And real talk, Big Rube, this game was utter domination from the very beginning. They went in at halftime 20-0. They ended up winning the game 36-7. As you watch the game, Eli Manning 37 for 25 with 288 yards. He looked like he was even more dominant than that. They ended up finishing the game with David Carr because they didn't need Eli Manning out there. Basically, you went into a game with Ahmad Bradshaw out, injury. David Deal, offensive line, out, injury. You had Hakeem out, injury. Hakeem Nicks, of course, that is. And then you look around and you go, what the hell are the Giants supposed to do? They're missing their number one receiver. They're missing their number one running back. But then everybody moves up. Everybody moves up and steps into place. You got Andre Brown, who got cut by 5 different teams in the last few years, who goes in 20 carries, 113 yards, and 2 TDs. You got Ramses Barden, who was drafted in the later rounds a couple years ago, who we've been waiting for him to do something, okay? I don't know if it's a matter of them not being able to do anything with Hakeem Nicks in front of him, with Victor Cruz in front of him. I don't know what the hell his deal is, but all of a sudden, Ramses Barden decided that it was time for him to do the damn thing. So he got 9 receptions, 138 yards. He out there looking like he is Randy Moss circa 2002 out here. And the New York Football Giants go ahead and win the game. Now, here's the thing I want to ask y'all about. If you looked at your man Cam Newton, who's playing in his very first primetime game, his first game where he got the national audience eyes on him. You've been watching him. You've been hearing talk about this kid. You've been hearing him since there was the issue with the jersey and his pops. We've been hearing about Cam Newton forever, okay? He's in the NFC, so I keep my eye on him, but he ain't somebody who's in my division, so it's not like I'm really, really watching him. So I was excited to see him because I don't watch a whole lot of Carolina Panthers games.
Who does?
Right. So when I'm watching him, and I know that the New York Football Giants have not done what they have been doing on the front four in the first 2 games when they played against Dallas and they played against Tampa Bay. But all of a sudden, they made Cam Newton, Big Rube, look real, real catchable. He looked catchable. He finished the game with 242 yards. Okay.
Is that passing or total offense?
That's passing.
Okay.
But he finished under, just over 50% with passing, 16 for 30, with no touchdowns. And he got sacked a couple times. So, Carl Banks, since you asked the question, I'll come back and I'll start to you. What the hell did I see, or what the hell did I miss with Cam Newton? Are the Giants that good, or was Cam Newton just off?
I think Cam was off that day.
Okay.
Really, I do. He normally has a good running game, which in any standpoint, you win by running the ball, and that's how they beat Tampa last week. Now, granted, he didn't have Jonathan Stewart, or was it D'Angelo Williams? Which one didn't play in that Thursday night game?
I'm not sure. I know they were missing some people, but I don't keep Carolina's information on the top of the dome like that. But
whichever one they didn't have, that really hurt them because it couldn't spell the other running back the way it should have. So they had to use Mike Tolbert, who's normally a fullback, as a running back standpoint, which, again, constricts what they like to do. Now, granted, they run a lot of option. They can run the pistol formation. Heck, if you look at it right, I think they can play the Wildcat and do very well in the Wildcat. Just asked Ruben about the Wildcat yesterday. So they have to play to their strength, just like they're doing with, what's my man name, RG3. They're playing to his strengths. They got to keep playing with Cam Newton's strengths. It's not passing the ball, although when he does pass, it's a laser, man. I mean, I don't really see many passes where he has an arc. It's just a straight beep, and the wide receiver catches it, and boom, it's a done deal.
Right.
Right now, it's also said that Steve Smith is upset because he's not an integral part of the game. Well, dude, when you're running the ball 30 times, how integral can you be in the game? I heard it best by a soccer program I went to. Football may be a 60-minute game, but you only actually play about 13 to 14 minutes. Right.
Well, I mean, the Giants defense came out. They played a better game than they had played in the previous weeks. I mean, they played against Dallas. Dallas kicked their asses. They played against Tampa Bay. They very possibly could have lost that game against Tampa Bay.
Yes.
They made Josh Freeman look like almost like a Pro Bowler. But I guess they, in a shortened week, kind of got it together because they tightened up the run defense. The leading rusher for Carolina ended up with 50 yards. Cam Newton, of course, like I said, he threw for 242, but a lot of that was in, I guess, what they call garbage time.
Right.
Because, again, they go into the locker room down 20-0. So, the Giants look great. I guess we got to see what they're going to do in the future weeks. As we had mentioned earlier, Big Rube, a lot of the teams are all kind of even. I'm not seeing anybody kind of sticking out, and that leads me to the San Francisco 49ers. Let's talk about that. I want to give a shout out to Jersey City's own homegirl Maida. Appreciate you hitting us up on the Facebook page. No, it wasn't a bad day. They got their asses kicked by the Minnesota Vikings. I want to give peace to PB. We know you're a Minnesota Vikings fan for getting that victory. It's probably one of the few you're going to get because your team kind of sucks. But that brings me to the 49ers, Big Rube, because what the hell is going on with them? I mean, everybody is talking about how great they are, and then they got their asses beat by the by Minnesota.
Okay, before we go further, I need to correct you a little bit about the Minnesota thing. They are 2-1.
Yeah,
so
but, really.
But let's be real.
So are the Jets, and we're gonna talk about them in a minute.
Yeah,
but so are the Jets.
But what I'm saying is that there are some teams that are going to be shocks. And I think Minnesota could be shocked.
Minnesota ain't going to be one of them.
And we're going to get into our NFC North thing a little later,
Christian
too.
Ponder, really?
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's the sum of all parts. If you're going to sit here and tell me... If you're going to sit here and tell me
Cliches.
are you going to sit here and tell me you thought that Seattle would be 2-0? You're fooling yourself.
Yeah, but, again, as I said earlier, you got certain teams that are 2-1 that shouldn't be, and you got certain teams that are 1-2 that shouldn't be, okay? That's the parity of the first 3 games of the season, okay? I don't think anybody, and we're going to talk about 49ers first. We get the Jets in a minute, who barely squeaked by Miami, who we know they stink, okay? But they stink. They stink. What's his name? Tannehill?
They're 1-2. They're 1-2.
Right. But Minnesota, they go ahead and they beat the 49ers. You had a lot of 49ers fans who wanted to anoint themselves as the next coming of the 16-0 2 years ago or 3 years ago. New England Patriots.
I mean, the 49ers fans are climbing that list I have of teams I'm starting to really hate because their fans suck. They're about number 7 right now, but they're making their way up because 49ers fans have this air about them that for some reason they think that Montana came out of retirement and he's throwing like 4,000 yards or something.
Alex Smith.
Let's just be real. They got this thing. I've never seen more 49ers posts on Facebook until this year. Last year, when they were shocked that they were winning. This year, they expect to win. Come on, man. 1 year wonder. I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm just saying that their fans need to calm down a little bit.
I got you. But a lot of that has to do with people picking up on talking points from the pundits, and to use a political term. You listen to a whole lot of ESPN, and you hear people tell you that Alex Smith is having a great season.
He is.
I wouldn't call it great.
I mean, he's only got one interception.
That's great.
Yeah.
In many terms. He's not getting paid like Michael Vick, who said, 9, 12?
So he throws 1 touchdown. He loses to the Vikings, and they score 13 points? Really? That's great?
I'm not saying that. Hold on. First of all, I'm not saying that the team itself is great, but you can't discount Al Smith's season so far. You can't dismiss his season.
204 yards.
How many touchdowns and interception ratio?
204 yards.
What's his touchdown?
Against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and their rushing game, how many yards did Gore have? What, 30?
Frank Gore didn't play. Well, yes, he did. He had 63 yards.
63?
63 yards.
Exactly. They depend on the running game so much. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying you can't sit here and say Alex Smith sucks when the dude's only turned over the ball once in 3 games.
No, I'm not saying he sucks.
I think what should be said is the defense has been figured out.
I'm making the point that the 49ers are beatable.
Yeah,
they're beatable.
Everybody's beatable.
Well, everybody's beatable, but let's not act like we didn't hear the talk prior to yesterday. When everybody wanted to anoint the 49ers.
Well, that's what I
beat in the league,
and that's what I said.
They were.
No, they're not. They're not. They're nowhere near. They were nowhere near it.
For real, yo.
Okay, so wait a minute. Are you saying with that type of defense that they played last year and the ball control offense that they exhibit now that they cannot be the team to beat? Why not?
They're not the team to beat because there's at least one other team that is a team to beat right now, and I'm gonna go back to it. Houston. If Matt Schaub,
I'm okay with that though.
That's not the point.
It is the
if
point.
Matt Schaub,
No.
Matt
I'm okay
Schaub,
with that.
Matt Schaub does not get hurt last year, they get a first round bye.
Yep, I agree with that.
What's his name? He's on my fantasy squad.
Oh God!
How can I forget his name?
If
If Arian Foster is not out the first 4 games last year, they get a first round bye regardless. Houston is the team to beat in the NFL. They're 3-0. I would be shocked if they don't end up 14-2.
Right, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
And the Jets, who cares about the Jets?
That's where I'm going.
I mean,
well,
who cares about the Jets?
actually, we can't wrap that up. We're gonna end with the Jets because there was something that happened in that game that I definitely want to get to.
Okay.
Hold on to that. But the Arizona Cardinals beat the hell out the Philadelphia Eagles, which Big Ruben and I sat together. We watched the game, and we were very happy to see because they're a division rival. Got that ass beat 27-6, Big Rube.
I think last week showed a whole bunch of teams who in the frame is we are who they thought they were. The Eagles are not that good. The Eagles have gotten lucky twice. They're not that good.
They won 2 games by 1 point each.
Yeah.
And then last night, they got that ass beat by 3 touchdowns.
And I'll go through the NFC East. The Redskins, all offensive flash. They need to find some defense or they're still going to win 6 games. I say 8-8, but if their defense will show up, they probably won't win 6. You know? The Dallas Cowboys, with the Dallas Cowboys on a truthful note, I don't even know. Because 1 week they're great, the next week they suck, and the third week they win a game that they should have won, but it's just like the offense decided not to play. I mean, I'm not really sure what's going on with the Cowboys. The Giants are up and down too. I don't know. The NFC East is just crazy. And like I said yesterday, I think we can agree the best division in the NFL right now is the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that yesterday off the air, obviously, Big Ruben and I, and we disagreed. He says the NFL North. I still say the NFC East is the best division. When you look at the competitive balance, Carlton Banks, and you look at the Cowboys and the Giants and the Redskins and the Eagles, those teams beat the hell out of each other, and they beat the hell out of everybody else. NFC North is great. Don't get me wrong, but this year is probably the first year in recent years that all of the teams are even close to viable. You got Green Bay. All right. They've been good for the last few years. Giants bust that ass in the NFC Championship game last year. Or the game before that, division game. Mm-hmm. You got Detroit, who's making their way up. You got Minnesota, who's looking decent.
Detroit just had a couple.
And you got Chicago, who's looking decent. But they need a couple of years before they can be down with us. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to give that to them. Let's go ahead, talk real quick about the New York Jets, and then we're going to move on because we got the Socially Conscious Entertainment Hour that's going to be starting very shortly, 804-447-0601. We're going to be moving on to the Diva Diaries featuring the dating pool diva as well as comedian Alyssa P coming up at the top of the hour. Real quick, we're going to talk about the Jets. The reason why I want to talk about the Jets is because Tim Tebow sucks, y'all. I'm sorry. I come in here every single week and I talk about this, and I know Big Rube gets tired of hearing it, but I want to know why people think this dude is great. That's the one thing. The other thing, they barely won. They won in overtime on a field goal, right? Darrelle Revis got a torn ACL. Didn't even get touched. Carlton Banks, Big Rube. Nobody touched Darrelle Revis, and he tore his ACL. And we know that the Jets are built on defense. What the hell is going to happen with them, Big Rube?
They're built on garbage right now because Darrelle Revis is their best defender. He's done. I mean, the Jets are who we thought they were. They're a mid-level team that wins some games, lose some games. To be perfectly honest with you, Tim Tebow, it's not even his fault. I mean, Tim Tebow is terrible. I don't know why we give this dude the time of day because, to be honest with you, the Jets was a horrible place for him to go. He should have went somewhere else.
Jacksonville would
have been great.
They needed a quarterback. Or at least, that's his home state. That's where he should have went.
Or at least somebody to tell Blaine Gabbert you need to do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Blaine
Gabbert. It's over.
Notice we never talk about Jacksonville on Ain't No Half Steppin' Marcus.
Because Jacksonville sucks.
Right.
I mean,
if you watch Tim Tebow yesterday, he split out wide. He split out wide with Mark Sanchez under center. He runs a terrible route, and instead of turning around catching the ball, he gets hit in the back of the head. I mean, the guy, he's a quarterback by position.
He's not a wide receiver.
He's not a wide receiver.
Tight end.
But he's a quarterback by position. They lined him up under center. They lined him up in the backfield. They split him wide. The Jets bring this guy in, and they have no idea what to do with him.
It was a publicity stunt.
Of course, they brought him in. They brought him in just so that they can get
Some money.
PSLs. PSLs. They wanted to get people to buy.
And I feel
tickets.
bad for Tim Tebow.
Why you feel bad for him?
Yeah.
Because he went to the worst market. I mean, at least in Jacksonville, he would have had a legitimate chance. You know what I'm saying? But in New York, he has no chance.
A chance at what in Jacksonville?
I mean, come on, Blaine Gabbert's horrible.
Ain't no half stepping, Marcus. Yeah, we're gonna leave it there. The National Football League roundup has ended for the night. If you got some more comments, hit us up on the Facebook page, and we'll maybe potentially share them in a later portion of the show. But we're gonna move on and talk about our socially conscious entertainment hour. Ain't no half stepping, Marcus J, Big Rube, Carl Banks. When we come back, we got the dating pool diva, comedian S. Lissa P. We're moving in to our relationship portion. Marcus J, ain't no half stepping. Be back in a minute.
Will never die, just multiply.